Thank you so much for the invitation. Actually,
Your mic is.
you had the discussion on the previous topic about AI. I believe this session would be a little bit different. It's tapping into AI and creativity and the power of AI in creativity.
It's not working.
Yes, it's not. Yes.
I know.
شوف انت خبير فيهم هي قاسي. It's working now? Oh, perfect now. That amazing. So let's catch up. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmed Haidar. I'm the managing director of Denso Saudi Arabia, and I will be the moderator of this panel. Actually, it's an interesting panel because I'm coming from a creative background. So they will be talking about creativity and how the use of AI within the creativity, keeping the human touch that was discussed in the previous session. And this is now more. No, it's bad. It's working now? Yes. So, first of all, it's great to see so many familiar faces here. As you see, the whole topic is about the new era of creativity. I believe from a brand and audience perspective, we're facing a lot of challenges when it comes to creativity. Brands are, I believe, under severe pressure when it comes to the use of AI tools and data. And audiences at the same time are becoming more picky. They want a brand that connect with them, resonate with them, have culturally relevant creative that works better with them. So I believe the key question for us in this session today, and we're going to come up out of this session, is creativity having the space when it comes, or it's limited? And this is something we're going to discover today with our three panelists. So I'm delighted to introduce the panelists. I think these are some of the best creative minds we have in the industry. Starting with Asi, our own managing director of tag production. Asi is expert, have more than 20 plus years of experience in production. I've been working with him for 3 months. He's a storyteller and he's a strong believer in creativity. And he believes in the power of creativity. Abdurrahman is my client actually. He's the head of creative at Hunger Station, coming from an international agency background. He's done some amazing work on Hunger Station over the past 2 years, winning a lot of awards locally, regionally, and globally. And Eli as well, I met him recently, ex-colleague. We used to work together at BBDO. We never met at the same time. He's the creative director of Red Sea Global, and also he has very extensive experience when it comes to creative in the industry. I believe looking at how it operates, working client and agency side, so I think each one of them has his own perspective when it comes to the topic. So I'm going to start with one question, which is going to be addressed to all of you. I'll start with Asi. Asi, how does the new era of creativity mean to you and in your day-to-day work?
Well, actually, it's thank you for the intro. It's evolving by the day, so it's a disclaimer that everything we're answering today is valid for one day only, because things are changing at speed. That we're facing this big challenge to keep up with on technical, which is drawing the platform and setting the rules and boundaries of what can we do and what can be generated within creative and production. So we're getting the right information as we are feeding AI information. We are training the team that we have to keep up with this very fast change.
Amazing. We'll talk more about AI integration and production in the coming question. Abdurrahman, asking you the same question, how the new era of creativity work mean to you and how it works in your day-to-day work as well?
Well, at Hunger Station, let me talk about Hunger Station. Hunger Station, we are not only now thinking about the campaigns to convey a great creativity. We have to integrate with tech, with how we will have the user experience from customer experience and from our side. So how we integrate this with the creativity. So giving a solution, start thinking about the customer experience when they want to order, how they will order. It's not always, it's not only a campaign. Doing a great campaign, this is not existing anymore. You need to think out of the box in terms of how you use maybe for example our brand attributes, how you will adapt this on a creative way. So a creativity, it's yes, it's going to a new era. The norm of the world now is changing with AI. Maybe we'll talk more about the AI, but talking about creativity, yes, it's not only for us as a Hunger Station team, creative team, brand, marketing team. It's not only doing a campaign or a successful campaign, doing a buzz, and that's it. So,
Okay. Thank you, Abdurrahman. Moving to Ali.
Thanks for the intro again.
No problem.
First thing I would like to say is that yes, it is moving really fast. So the first thing that came to my mind is an example of something that's happened to me, and it's step away from the computer. Being creative right now, the disruption for me is going back to some of the basics that are very important. Step away from the computer. And the example that I'd like to give is something that we did in Red Sea as well. So it's a small example for a small project that landed on my desk, and it's for uniforms, for our drivers, for the chauffeurs. So I'm like, okay, simple enough. We started working on it. You go onto AI, you work with different mock-ups, you work with the team, but then you actually go on site and you talk to the drivers. You have a conversation with them. You sit with 100 drivers and you see what are their day-to-day problems, what do they face, and then you realize that there's simple things that you wouldn't even think about, which are color. Like you would use navy blue pants. Automatically you think, great, navy blue pants, a white shirt, done. Driver, 100, 700 drivers, you've finished that project and it's off of your desk. But then you realize that on ground, the sun goes through the glass and hits them on the pants. And if it's dark colored, it is going to burn them all day, every day. And that's where real creativity comes in, is where you go and see the problem on ground. You see something that's actually real, and then you translate it through your designs, even if it's just a simple project as creating a few uniforms and, putting your brand out there. So yes, I believe that everything is moving really fast right now, but it's an important time to take a step back and look at the people, look at how things are working on ground.
I think, Eli, you tapped in a very important topic. I think it's about the insight. So the human touch, the insight part, yet AI is an enabler. It could help, but I think the insight is what is missing right now to be becoming more culturally relevant. Consumers now are looking more at how you can be part of their community. You're part of their life. You're close to them. You understand them. So it's all start with an insight. That's where you go close to them, get the right insight, tap into the challenge, and then come up with the creative idea. Asi, moving to you, you've mentioned to me earlier that the rise of a hybrid model, the blend between AI and traditional production. How do you make sure that AI does not take away from the human touch when you work on production?
Sure. Actually, that's the concern and the hot topic of everyone, right? So before answering this, we need to just define what creativity is, because creativity comes obviously from the act of creating, and this act is a human act. Whereas AI as a machine or as a software, you build it, you feed it data, you optimize it, you train it, and then you start prompting, and it starts go back to the data, reshuffling the information, and then giving you an answer based on research. So AI would never be able to create as a human. So this is just to put things into perspective. So of course it's going to be always a hybrid model, but it would be a hybrid model with different percentages, okay? Because AI's main purpose is to optimize, to regenerate or re-engineer workflows and processes. I'm talking about production and creative, because in potentially engineering, it has a complete takeover. But in our field, the best use of AI today is to see how we can optimize and how we can speed up the process in things that used to take a lot of time. And I'll give two examples here, or case studies. One of a success use of AI in a hybrid model, and the second one, which didn't end up quite well. The first one was a big project that we did almost a year ago, where we were filming a major global campaign for a Saudi client. There is an NDA, I cannot disclose it, sorry for that. But we were, there were two brand ambassadors, VVIPs in the sports world, one in football and the second in basketball. So they gave us 2 hours to film with them, whereas we had 8 days to do the shoot. And some of it was in Spain, some of it was in UK, and some of it was in Saudi. So how can we solve it and how can we work around it? Using AI, but not the prompting AI, actually the heavy duty AI, we were able to film with body doublers that more or less the body shape looks like the VIPs, and then using this heavy AI machine, changing the face, and you wouldn't know the difference. It's something that is really scary. You wouldn't know that this person is that. So that's a successful model of how hybrid worked. We actually shot physically with cameras for 8 days. We shot for 2 hours with each of the ambassadors. We scanned them, scanned the face, the reaction, and then the model fed to the post, and we changed them, and you wouldn't know. The second case study or example is based on a recent one, which is almost a month ago. We were doing a CG-led project, and at some point, we decided to go with a 6-second teaser using AI. At some point, the system bottlenecked, so we were unable to generate slight changes in one vertical that was moving faster than the other. So we had columns moving, not very synced, and we couldn't do it. It bottlenecked, although it was very fast. The beginning was very fast, but at some point it was unexpected. It stopped. We had to go back to modeling, to compositing, texturing, and doing it all over again. So we look at the scene. What do we conclude? We say that, of course, we have to understand what's the right ratio of live action shoot, what's the ratio of human, analog or digital input, and where do we need data. And it's on project basis. It will never be, this is the right formula, copy pasted on everything.
Definitely. I think, Eli, I believe your brand are using AI in massive project, knowing Red Sea Global. And I know you've worked in an agency, head of creative, now as a creative director, and how this is changing the way you work from concept to production, and where do you believe the human touch would make the big difference within the whole cycle from concept coming up to the production cycle?
Well, thinking of this as, because it's also a continuation of what you were talking about, working with film and working with production, of course, you're going to be coming up with the storyboards, you're going to be coming up with going on the recce's and seeing a film come to life, but then you have things where you might have a 2-second render filler. Especially in our domain with Red Sea Global, we need to use a lot of massive renders, and sometimes to go and to animate these 3D renders from scratch, you're talking about months of work, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. But right now with AI, you can help, that helps you a lot to just work with these fillers, these 2 seconds, and then and just move on so that you can be as quick as everything that happens. Because at the end of the day, everything is content. Everything is moving really fast. The shoots that used to happen before that were multi-million-dollar shoots, and you just right now it's only 15 seconds, and it has to go out. And now we work with the agencies to get the raw footage so we can create different edits out of them. So it's important to have this in-house capability because it works with the agency to bridge that gap between these big productions and then filling in the minor productions in the middle. And these are successful as well. They create a lot of views. Like some of the works that we've done in-house have had 5-6 million full views on a video, and it's good, and it's a collaboration. So and this also brings me to the whole in-house having your in-house capabilities, which is
we're going to tap into
yeah,
this one.
which is new. I mean, it's really important because it helps both the agency as well as us.
Eli, I have Ahmad, if I can do a follow-up comment.
Go ahead.
What you're saying is actually very true because now the structure of production starting from creativity is content supply chain. And this is something that at TAG we also repositions it, the service on the service line front because usually you request an output, a production of a video, and then this is the production comes in and does it. So what we are offering now for this solution for clients that would like to have things at their hand is to have sort of dam management system or content supply chain powered by AI. It was built and designed internally at TAG. It's called DICE. We can talk about it, but exactly to fit the client's needs. So as a production company, we are still producing, but without producing. We are supplying you with the platform that you as an end client can do it. And this is something it's going to be, I believe, at the hand of every person who would like to utilize that.
I think the most important part into this topic, yeah, we know AI. Looking now, if I go 20 years back at the day of our creative, where we had the copywriter writing, the calligraphy, doing the font, and it takes a couple of days to finish a creative layout, mocking up and go presenting to client. Yeah, we know AI boosts efficiency. I agree with you, and it probably save budget and save days. But the most important thing, it should not come at the cost of creativity and storytelling. As long as this there, I think this is how you can have a really good combination between AI and storytelling. Abdurrahman, moving for you from the brand side, and I know that you guys are into AI big time. So you've seen the benefit and the limitation of AI, and I've worked with you for the past 3 years on a lot of projects. How do you decide when to use it or when not to use AI so it does not impact your creativity and hurt the performance of any campaign or any creative message you want to communicate to your audience?
Honestly, this is a very good question from brand perspective. I know, guys, this is AI is putting footprint for everything. Publicly, secretly, everyone is using AI. But when it comes to brand, this is something different story. From brand perspective, we can understand that everything can be generated with AI, but we have our brand guideline, our brand tone of voice, our look and feel. Sometimes AI cannot convey this, cannot go beyond and give you the right result when you are using AI. For example, AI can, generate or write a headline or can do a visual. But is this visual culturally fits, for example, Saudi market? Sometimes it's not. You will need to work on it, for example, like for 3-4 days to have some result that you are happy with, while maybe it will take with you, for example, take like 1 day or 3 hours, okay? When it comes to go back to the normal visualizing or doing a copywriting.
Look at the posting.
And until it will not end up posting double. So this is the important thing that we need to think about it when it comes from brand perspective. Yes, you can do everything with AI. You can ask AI to what should I have dinner for today, or what should I go, what should I have a dressing code for today. But when it comes brand, you need to have this consistency. Yes, we can go and work with AI, and we did it in a good way, but properly and carefully to work with AI, especially in this duration هلا عم بصير.
Agree. Actually, staying with the same topic, you've mentioned how you use AI smartly and how you adapt it to your brand. And I know that for a fact. And I've seen a couple of some amazing work you've done that win global awards, even at Cannes. I think you've won one on the Subconscious Order. It was one of the only Saudi brand that won a Cannes Grand Prix. And that was a major achievement for Saudi Arabia and for Hunger Station. Can you give me an example where you used AI and at the same time you kept the creativity and the storytelling within the whole concept, and how AI and technology was an enabler to let this concept or idea come to life?
At Hunger Station, sometimes we think about the customer experience. Okay, how they will order, for example, when they want to order. And we noticed, and I think everyone have this thing that when he want to order food, sometimes you don't want to, or he don't want to, he don't know what to order. You will open the application, you will open the everything to do just to understand what you want to do, to eat right away. You don't know. So we came up with something with AI that we launched a huge campaign on social media showing engraving images, mouth-watery images, and telling the people, just send us the post us or send us the message, we will send you the meal. The AI will take the image and identify it. For example, if it's pizza, it will take you directly, open the Hunger Station application, go to the pizza, looking for what is the near restaurant around you, just to order directly. So it goes viral. It wins a lot.
No, I think it won a couple of awards, yes.
Cannes, I think Dubai Lakes. Yes. So this was how we think about and how we need to have the AI. Okay, you have a great idea, then you need to know how to use the AI. So the idea comes from human start firstly. Then after that, we study the consumers. Then after that, the AI interfere here.
Yeah, and especially I think AI is quite challenging in the F&B industry in specific. It's quite not an easy thing to get it real, engraving, you feel I want to eat it, appetite. It's not that easy, but yeah, I've done a lot of amazing work. Asi, you're talking about data and how data is bridging gap between agency client, moving from an opinion to a decision because you have data and you need to run based on the background that you have. Is changing the way you work together and treat each other creatively across the ecosystem? Is this changing anything from a creative perspective?
Definitely, it is helping if we know how to use data. So, it's at some point, whenever in the past, you used to have a creative director, like these two gentlemen, going to a client, pitching an idea, and the client says, well, I like it, or I don't. When they say, I like it or I don't, it's a very subjective opinion. And now they're going to go back, put their heads in the place of the client or the decision making. Okay, what does he like? How can we make him approve it? And then we're drifting away from how the campaign or the output will perform. Whenever we have data, it becomes very objective. Then whenever a creative person is presenting this idea, we are now using AI and other tools able to predict the performance. So during the pre-production or the ideation, we can more or less understand how to position it for each brand. During the campaign, how to measure engagement, and post-campaign to see the results, how it performed. So whenever you go, again, to a decision maker and you say A, B, or C, then A would work better, B would work less, and C wouldn't work, and they say, well, I want C, then it becomes, it's his decision, of course, but data is clear. But at the same time, data and insights are used by everyone, creative agencies, production, how to stand out in a market where everyone has access to AI. So if the passing grade is 90 over 100, but everyone has an AI to help them pass the test, so how the brand would stand out? This is where we go back to looking at data with the most important thing, the human element and human creativity, and see how to shape it. And by the way, all the biggest inventions in the world, creative or industrial, were made by people who were stigmatized as crazy. Einstein is one of them. So now as the data is saying that we will go south and we go north, maybe it will generate something, like we need to assess the data and steer it the way we want. It shouldn't be a clear, title that we shouldn't be moved outside of it.
Interesting. I think, Eli, knowing the brand Red Sea Global, definitely you guys going global and you communicate in different market. And we had the discussion that agency lack cultural understanding of the market. So how does understanding local culture shape creativity in your point of view? I'd like you to elaborate on it because I know that Sea Global is not only about Saudi culture, which is key, but you also target across the whole globe. And you need to consider these cultural nuances across each market.
Yeah, I mean, there's a beautiful essence to the Saudi culture. I've lived here for 10 years, so I've tried to go into the Saudi culture as much as I could. But I'm going to give an example of how when agencies actually come to Saudi and not work behind a desk in London, let's say, for example, to advertise to a Saudi audience, that would be impossible to understand because you do have to go on ground and see what it's about. And a story like this is, and I'm going to give a story. It's, I was at the Red Sea and we were on a boat and we were traveling to St. Regis and the Ritz-Carlton Reserve before they finished construction. And the driver of the boat, and it was a small boat, was telling us a story that this island's called Ummahat, and it's a well-known name for the island, Ummahat. Now, the reason behind that is that a fisherman a while back was stranded on that island, and the island took care of him for weeks and weeks, up to a month or so, and that's why they called it Ummahat, because it was a mother to that fisherman that was there. And it's through things like this that you find, okay, there's an essence and a story everywhere you go in Saudi Arabia that you need to hang on to, and it's very, it's very intricate because every single area has a pride in its own identity, and you gotta even the patterns and the sadu and you have to respect that, and you can't just, and I've seen it happen a lot of times where creatives come in and they're guns blazing and they're okay, it's coming up with ideas, but no, you have to get back down to the ground, see what's happening around you, understand the culture before you come up with out of the world creative ideas.
And when you say understanding the culture, you mean having a mix of having local team, a mix like of expat, Arab expat. It doesn't need to have local as much for them to live, breathe the market, understanding what's happening, testing and checking.
Exactly.
So that we believe it could be a good formula for an agency to succeed.
100%. And then, of course, you do the A/B testing, and you go into the more data-driven side of the business with the media crew as well, and you get all this data and know how to move forward. But yeah, you do need to test it around you as well with a multicultural team.
Great. Asi, I'm going to tap into a question which is of interest, I think, to us as an agency and as a client, since we have a client in the audience as well. We face it every time. We know production, there's this high competitive landscape in production, and we have global agency, us competing with small boutiques and even a couple of team members opening a production house where they provide speed, and sorry to say this word, but cheap cost, where clients sometimes could consider. How do you stay as a global agency having that level of production competitive and creative at the same time and delivering up to the expectation of the client with this fierce competition in the market?
I'm going to start my answer by saying something unorthodox a little bit. Like the relationship between clients and supplier or partners in production, I prefer the term partners because it's a different experience working on project with a client. So as the client chooses the supplier, I think the production company is also choosing their own clients as well. So it's a bidirectional relationship, which in definition, we go back to definition, what is a global production company? In the 80s, 90s, 2000, people or agencies production were bragging like, we're 5,000 globally, 20,000 globally. But how will 20,000 globally service Red Sea Global or Hunger Station? Are we pulling in the creative director from APAC or Singapore to do the creative, or the copywriter from Mexico City? You know, what is relevant for clients is what they actually need for this project. So, in my opinion, the way the rules of engagements between local boutique production companies and global like TAG is first of all to understand the playground, to have a small team, doesn't have to be big. If someone tells me now I have a team of 1,000 with AI and everything, I would be scared. Why do we need 1,000? You know, so understand the cultural relevance that Eddie talked about. Most importantly, have a small and efficient team that can scale up and down based on project basis. Because sometimes Eddie's request is to have a huge 3,000 people working on one project, and he needs sometimes one videographer to go and have a creative eye to go to this boat trip and captures beautiful moments. So our job as a production company is to keep the overhead as low as possible so we don't overcharge the clients. That was the case when we had big campaigns. Budgets were huge, but overheads as well. So keep the team efficient but small, scale up on freelance basis, understand what are the creative and production needs, and most importantly, understand how globalization can work for us. Because Saudi market, like every GCC, is relatively an expensive market to produce. We received the brief using Unreal Engine, studio production, or on shoot. We can take the production to Turkey, we can take it to Bulgaria, we can take it to South Africa, to Thailand. So the globe is becoming now the location. I think being authentic, even if we're global, you're saying, guys, this is our size, we can customize this project for you. We don't have 200 people waiting at the office, just waiting for the alarm to ring and, whoa, we have a project, let's go. We build it together. This is why we say this is a partnership. Clients needs to be patient. We will recover with the AI and using technology in the project, but we will surely, and we are customizing the right production team, the right technical team, the right equipment for every project. So we're doing well, actually. So good.
Yeah, actually, it's a good answer, but good luck with the procurement of the clients. So hopefully, if you can pass it. Eli, you've tapped before on having your own creative studio at Red Sea Global, and you're still working with external agency. And that's something actually, personally, I'm interested to see. Sometimes clients, they build their in-house creative capability, but they still need an external resources from agencies. So how does that model help you to stay innovative and fast when it comes to your creative outputs?
Well, we have to look at it with a company like Red Sea. We have to look at it as two sides. You've got side A, which is the corporate side. You've got side B, which is the consumer-facing, more touristic side. So when it comes to the corporate side, we have a heavy internally strong creative team. And then when it comes to the consumer side, we lean on agencies heavily as well, because every single agency has its own flavor. Every single agency has its own style. Every production house has its own style, has its own videographer, photographer. Whenever you go out to brief 3 directors, you're going to receive 3 production briefs from them that are completely different, because every director comes back to you with their style, with their creativity. So we cannot depend solely on internal capabilities. We have to look outside, because that's where all the fresh ideas come from. And a company like Red Sea Global, it's quite massive. There's room for internal capabilities and 5 agencies, 6 agencies working on projects as well. That's why there's enough space for creativity as much as you want.
But I like what you've mentioned, and this is something being most of the big clients are actually considering it, not working with one agency, working with more than one agency. And there's like a new model in the market right now where they pitch on a project basis, having 3 agencies, to keep them alerted, more competitive, not to feel a little bit, rest assured, I have this business, I'm comfortable. So when you work with 4 or 5, you have different perspective, and that's something could help more. And this question outside the discussion, so when you look at different market, you have different agencies leading different market, or it's like across your work, or you appoint agencies, let's say in Asia, Pacific versus America or Europe?
No, we're appointing, now there are main key agencies that we work with, that we've been working with for, let's say, 3 years. Generally, if sometimes we work on specific productions to launch one asset, and we work with one ad agency for that one specific project. Like, let's say, for example, right now we launched Amala. We worked with a production house, and we worked with an agency to create the launch campaign. We also helped create a lot of content internally with all the different raw footages that we were able to get from there. And as well, we help with the integration of the campaign across different channels. Yeah. So, and then let's say we have a launch, and that's the thing. We have 25 brands growing, and each brand can have its own agency down the line. That's why it's so, it's wide.
Agree. Abdurrahman, moving to you, I know how Hunger Station operate under heavy KPI, deadline, speed, and all of this. How do you make sure, since you are the head of creative at Hunger Station, that does not impact the quality of creative output within that speed, KPI, lesson budget, and all these constraints that you face on a daily basis?
Honestly, at Hunger Station, we built a internal creative team. This honestly supported us in a daily day-to-day work. For example, sometimes, and you know, guys, the food delivery market is very high, and working in a fast pace. Sometimes, if you want to go to the agency, which is great, we always did this. We have 4 or 5 agencies. We have contract with them. We work with them continuously with them. But sometimes you need this to go fast. So if you have the day-to-day campaigns or the day-to-day tasks, we need to work on it internally. And some point, our creative team is the life, our life, their life, the client's life, when it comes creating a brief. At Hunger Station, we do the brief with the communication. We do the brief with the brand team. Understand what they want, what they need. Then after that, as a creative team, we build the brief and send it to the production, sometimes directly with the production. So we go directly to the production after understanding the brief. Sometimes we go to the client, but before we go to client, the brief should come to the creative team with a very good experienced team to understand what's the exact need. And as you know, sometimes we need to understand what is the brand attribute that we want to focus on. What is the insight that we need, for example, to build on? So this honestly helped us a lot.
Amazing. As long as you're managing your creative output, that's the most important thing. Because I know you guys, how you work under severe pressure. We're running out of time. Thank you so much for joining this panel. I really enjoyed it. We can talk forever if we have more time. I hope you enjoyed this session, and thank you so much for listening to this panel.